I'd like to welcome you. My name is Rob Burke, and I work for Tesco Technologies. Today, we'd like to introduce you to a completely different aspect of 4G, which is really an entire system, an entire network. So what we're going to show you today is Tesco's Showcase, which basically gives us the capability of providing a complete overview of a complete network from A to Z. But everything you see here today is fully functional. We have over 50 manufacturers, their products, their software, working together, showing a fully functional system. At any heart of any organization is an environment where you can control, monitor, track all information. So the first location where we're going to bring you into is the Network Operations Center. Here at the Network Operations Center, we've got the capability of configuring any device within this room. Whether it's a wireless access point, whether it's a point-to-multipoint system, whether it's a router that could be 30 miles away. We have the ability also to keep track of all information, monitor alarms, monitor the errors, and really also be able to see video feeds and any alarm information to keep track of the network. Here we are at a switch or a hub or a core of the network. This is where all of our routing, all of our calls, all of our information, all of our data go through one location. The core of our network is, of course, a router that's running both voice over IP, standard IP for data, and also radio over IP, so we can do two-way communications. The Adtran router is really the core that distributes information to all of the other locations that we'll be talking about in a couple minutes. We've also got several partnerships that we're working on where we're providing Huawei fiber optic systems and doing DWDM, so it's not just wireless again. We have that strong capability to not have a bottleneck. To ensure that we actually have strong data coming into the system, we've also got compression working on here. We've worked with our partners ZipLink that allow us to go in and make sure that that data connection gives you the capability to have it optimized as much as possible. We wanted to make sure that we had some way to control all the information or traffic. So we have the capability of controlling everything from access to all the systems, as well as control the amount of information being transmitted. And we also have the ability to have full IP functional video at the same time. The subscribers on this system are fed via Motorola. We've got a Motorola 320 point-to-multipoint system. Fixed WiMAX is what we're transmitting back and forth between these systems. We wanted to have a strong backhaul solution. So we've partnered with our friends over here from Bridgewave and actually have one of our FlexPort systems up and operational. The advantage of using a system like this is you have the capability of doing Ethernet, as well as fiber, gigabit Ethernet, and even traditional services like T3 or SONET, TDM-based services going through the system. So we've also got a mesh system. So again, you're seeing three different systems fully functional at the same time. Last but not least, we wanted to really go strong, so we've partnered with the company Huawei to really have our LTE base station. So let's go ahead and start small. The first one we're going to start at is more of a small office, home office, or residential type scenario. Because obviously, one of the aspects of being able to provide fixed WiMAX is the ability to hit all the residential subscribers. We could feed 5, 10, 30 different locations if we wanted to or more off of one point-to-multipoint system. In this network, we can actually do all kinds of applications on the back side. So we've got a couple of basic applications operating here. The first one, of course, is standard internet access. So we've got web access provided here, but to run this at the residential location or at the SOHO, we're working off of more of a gaming type router. A good test of good 4G technology is the ability to really do online gaming, really streaming a lot of information across the network. So we actually worked with a partner called Ingenious that allows us to put a gaming router on there. Off that gaming router, we can do standard communication, we can do standard voice and data, but also we're running more of a teleconferencing type scenario too. And of course, we've got our friends over here where you can jump in and truly play interactive games across the wireless interface to someone else on the internet. The next location I'd like to bring to you is more of a business application. We're focusing on a healthcare app here, but this could truly be any business application, any large application, any scenario where maybe you have 50, 100, several thousand people even at one business location. We're feeding this one the exact same way. We're going off the point-to-multipoint system, and you see our subscriber unit sitting over here, where you're truly bringing it in the exact same way we did at the smaller location just a minute ago. Really what we're operating at this point is more of a business scenario. You're not dealing with a small gaming router. You're dealing with more of a business class router. Again, we're working with Adtran, but this could be any standard business class router. but we now have the capability of feeding a whole lot more customers off of this system. That gives us the capability to also deal with compression of the information. You'll notice we also have one of our ZipLink boxes over here that allows us to truly do that two-way compression back and forth between these two locations. Of course, we have fully functional voice over IP that you see here, so you can truly make IP-based calls. And that's the ability of taking standard two-way communications. For example, let's say someone in the hospital actually had a standard UHF or VHF radio. They want to be able to take that information and be able to talk to a different radio, but again, we need to turn that into IP traffic. So as I talk about this, many of you are probably thinking two-way radios really aren't 4G, but you get the idea of where we're focusing here. We're trying to focus on the application, not just the radios, not just the wireless interface, but truly sending live traffic across that. So through the radios, we're truly doing radio over IP and actually have the capability of talking maybe even between UHF or VHF radios, or even calling a two-way radio from a voice over IP phone. So a lot of times you have the difficulties of being able to actually cover the area. So we're working with Trapeze to truly have an access point set up. And the scenario here could be standard wireless or Wi-Fi, but at the same time, you could be doing RFID, RF tagging, so you could track equipment or patients within a healthcare facility. So we're also going to jump over here to our third subscriber off this location. Remember, the first two subscribers were small business or residential. The second one was more of a larger business application, where you would hit a healthcare facility, a school system, or even a business. But now we're going to jump over into an interesting world, and that's public safety, where we've got to deal with a lot of different parameters in government controls. So we're running a couple different things. We're running a 4.9 public safety spectrum system to hit all of our cameras. That allows someone in the public safety sector to be able to get access to the internet from a service provider, but then truly be able to serve their own system and hit multiple locations, whether they're cameras, whether they're wireless access points, or any even emergency call box that they wanted to hit out in the city or the township. Of course, we're feeding everything the same way, voice over IP. And you'll notice we've also got our two-way radios over here. This traverses the wireless network, and it's all IP after it leaves this location. And we're working with Raytheon to be able to give us that solution. Again, you notice this isn't one manufacturer, one provider. It's multiple systems fully functioning together. Let's say, for example, there was a disaster and we lost our traditional connection back through WiMAX, through that point-to-multipoint system. We decided to go ahead and give some redundancy to this. So yeah, the emphasis here is on 4G, but we've also came and did something backwards compatible. We've got a standard wireless or cellular modem sitting here as our backup system. So if we do lose our 4G connection, we can go through traditional cellular, typically 3G in this scenario, through Sierra Wireless, and our system will never drop because we've got full redundancy and be able to keep the system operating 100% no matter what the situation. So our last location that we want to talk about really changes gears. Everything that we've talked about up to this point has been more of a controlled environment, typically indoors, typically a government location or a healthcare facility that we talked about. But now we make the jump into a world that's really uncontrolled. Take it a utility company, maybe a pipeline, oil and gas, all those industries where we're truly dealing with the outdoor environment, dealing with rugged terrain, dealing with rugged temperatures. So in this scenario, we've decided to focus on a utility company, but this could be any outdoor scenario, even a township maybe that wants to monitor water levels in a floodplain. We're feeding it the exact same way that we've talked about up to this point. It's point-to-multipoint coming in, and again, that's 4G WiMAX, fixed WiMAX. And just because we think it's important, we went ahead and threw a camera out here. So this could be sitting next to the highway on a road. And you notice we're dealing with a rugged enclosure now. That gives us that capability of truly keeping track of our video feed. It's even heated, so you have that capability of sending that good signal. We're also controlling all of our wireless devices, all of our cameras, by also giving it that capability of having a solar panel. Could easily be wind, but have that alternative power solution, so that way you have your strong 4G wireless signal, but at the same time, if we're dealing with an environment where we don't have great power, we can also have that capability. When you get into those rugged environments, you've got to have a good way of keeping your equipment safe. You've got to have something that has to deal with extreme temperatures, but also has the capability to have power in there, to have batteries in there, to have that capability of truly being able to keep our system up and operational, even if we were to lose our AC power. Boxes like this are typically configurable. You have the capability of putting in pieces and parts to make it adapt to what you need it to be. So it's not truly one of those solutions that is just standalone or off the shelf. So you've got your power supplies, you've got your backup power, you've got the capability of monitoring all of your electrical signals, making sure you have strong power, making sure your batteries are charging, making sure you have great grounding, because again, we're in an uncontrolled environment. At the same time, you may have sensors on the backside. It could be a temperature sensor, it could be a valve on a pipeline. So we've got to be able to control those, so we've actually got the capability of having IP technology even clear out here, like we said, if it was next to a railroad track. And going in and actually going through a remote unit or an RTU, we're working with a company called SixNut here that allows us to have that capability. So as we've talked about, what you've seen is a fully functioning system. It gives you kind of the understanding of where we're headed as a total solution provider. We don't want to just provide a 4G wireless signal. We want to make sure we understand how 30, 40, 50 different products need to work together. That's our strength at Tesco. That gives you that capability to truly understand how systems work together for that total solution and really come together with an application-based system that's not just looking at the wireless links, it's truly looking at the complete scenario and how it truly will impact your business today.